Easy Dreamers, we need to talk about something. Now recently I watched a video by a very popular English teaching YouTube channel that said using double negatives is incorrect and that if you use the word ain't, you are stupid and uneducated. They even said that the word ain't isn't a word in English. I think the dictionaries would argue with that. They went on to say, and I quote, "Maybe your favorite rapper uses it a lot. Are they stupid?" So today, I want to correct a lot of bad information that's out there and help you decide if you should use double negatives and ain't in your English. Sit tight guys, because this is going to be a good one. First of all, what is a double negative? Let's get a context. So it's nighttime and your flatmate thinks they've heard a strange sound. And they say to you, "Did you hear that?" And you say, "I didn't hear nothing." Okay? I didn't hear nothing. This is a double negative. And we know that because it has two negations. I didn't, the contraction of did not, it's the first negation. And the second one is nothing. Okay? Two negatives in the sentence. So in standard English, they would say, "I didn't hear anything." Right? Because we use any or anything with a negative sentence. That's what we're told. But with a double negative, I didn't hear nothing. That means that I didn't hear a sound. Now, as I said, in standard English, we are told that double negatives are wrong. But in almost all English dialects around the world and in Britain, double negatives are frequently used. They are simply a non-standard form. They are not incorrect. They are just a non-standard form. So why is it seen as wrong when languages like French and Spanish use double negatives all the time? Well, I'm going to go to one of my favorite books to give you an idea of the reason. English Accents and Dialects is a fabulous book. Let me read you a little quote from it. So the reason that double negatives are seen as wrong, this is largely because it is, like most non-standard grammatical forms, most typical of working class speech, and for that reason tends to have low prestige. People who believe it to be wrong, ugly, clumsy or illogical are, we can say, probably making what is ultimately a social rather than linguistic judgment. Now why is that important? Well, as Frances Blanchett said in her TEDx talk about double negatives, a dialect is a part of who you are. It's where you're from, it's the people that you've grown up with, it's your surroundings, it's everything about you, it's part of your identity. And if we criticize someone's dialect and the things that they say, we are essentially criticizing them as a person. And that's not cool. That's really not cool. And double negatives are found all around Britain as a non-standard form. And so if we're criticizing double negatives, we are criticizing essentially millions of people, not to mention millions of people around the world. And that's problematic on so many levels. If you think about a child going to school and being told that they're uneducated and that they're stupid because they use a certain grammar form that they've grown up with, that's problematic, right? Now, if you needed any more evidence that this is a social rather than linguistic issue, just look at Shakespeare. Shakespeare used double negatives. He is the ultimate wordsmith in English. So if he can use a double negative, why can't we use double negatives? Okay, so what does this mean for you and your English? Well, in a minute, I'm going to show you examples of double negatives that even speakers of standard English will use. But first, let's think about the context in which you speak your English. Now, if you are in a job interview or you're in a business meeting, then the rules of standard English are often applied. And yeah, maybe you might not want to use a double negative. Indeed, if you're in an IELTS speaking exam, you might not want to use a double negative. But it's important to know that it's not wrong. It's just non-standard. Okay, let me show you 3 examples of when we use double negatives in common, everyday, standard English speech. Okay, let's take the context of, we're talking about whether we want to go to a party. Discussing it with my friend, And I say, we can't not go to the party. We can't not go to the party. Okay, where's the negation? Well, can't is the first negation, and not go is the second negation. It's a double negative. But what does it mean? It means that we should go to the party, right? That it's our obligation to go. We can't not go to the party. It means we have to go to the party. Now that is a fantastic phrase that we use commonly. As I say, in standard English, people will use that all the time. Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. No one's going to argue about that one. Let me give you another example. We're talking about whether to buy a wedding present for a couple. I say, we can't not get them a wedding present. We can't not get them a wedding present. Again, double negative, can't not. Now, you'll notice that I've stressed not there. That's common in this structure, to stress the not. And it's to show some sense of obligation to do something. We can't not do this thing, right? It means we have to do this thing. So in that sentence, we have to buy them a wedding present, right? We can't not buy them a wedding present. So there's a great example of a double negative that is commonly used in standard English. The second example I've noticed in everyday spoken English. So this is when we are talking about something that we do, but we could do more. Let me put it into an example for you. Let's think about the context here. So I'm talking about an ex-girlfriend, and we used to text every day, and then now, because we're not together anymore, I'm not going to text her as much. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the amount of text that I'm going to send to her. I'm telling my friend this, and they say, oh, you know, you're going to text her. I'll say, I won't not text her. I'm just not going to text her as much. I won't not text her. I'm just not going to text her as much. Right, so I won't not text her. There's that double negative. So what does that mean? Well, I will text her a little bit, right? Not as much as I could do or as much as I used to do, but I will text her sometimes. So I won't not text her. I'll just text her sometimes. Let me put that into another example for you. I went on holiday and my friend asked me, oh, did you go to the gym? I say, I didn't not go to the gym, but you know, I could have gone more often. I didn't not go to the gym, but I could have gone more often. So again, did I go to the gym? Yeah, maybe once, twice, maybe, because I didn't not go, but I didn't go as much as I could have gone, right? So you can see that we're using this in informal spoken English to change up the sentence structure, to add variety to our spoken English, and yeah, to play with the language a bit. So, you know, I'm not going to use that structure all the time, don't get me wrong, but it is used, and it's a double negative that seems to be accepted. Okay, and my last example is this structure, which I think is quite common. Let me give you an example. At night, it's not uncommon to hear police sirens in my neighborhood. At night, it's not uncommon to hear police sirens in my neighborhood. So the double negative here is not and uncommon. The un is a negative prefix, so it's not uncommon. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that frequently I hear police sirens in my neighborhood. It's not uncommon. That means it's common, right? So this is another example of a double negative that we use quite frequently. Let me give you another example. The boss doesn't usually come out for drinks, but it's not unheard of. The boss doesn't usually come out for drinks with us, but it's not unheard of. So what does this sentence mean? Well, does our boss come for drinks every night? No, not every night. But do they come out sometimes? Yeah, possibly. It's not unheard of, as in it happens, or it has happened. Okay, so I think we've dealt with double negatives. So let's move on to the word ain't. So going back, this YouTube English teaching channel, it said to us that the word ain't is uneducated and stupid. Now this is another form of snobbery based on language, class, identity, race, all those things. Because ain't, it's an English word. It is an English word, all right? And it is in the dictionary, and it is commonly used. Okay, so first of all, it's used for the negative form of the present tense verb to be. So am not, are not, and is not. I ain't going to the party. I ain't going to the party. I am not going to the party. It's also used for the negative present tense form of have. So I ain't done my homework. I ain't done my homework. I haven't done my homework. I think a lot of people associate ain't with American English, but ain't is used frequently in British English. Here are 3 examples of famous people in Britain using the word ain't.
Beautiful avocado. If it doesn't click out like that, it ain't right and you shouldn't have bought it in the first place.
You watch Question Time, it's comedy.
Were you no clearer when Jeremy Corbyn explained
No, I got
Labour's
the clue.
policy?
No one knows what it is. It's like this mad riddle that no one knows what it is.
I ain't got a tattoo myself in like maybe 2 years now, except for I've got a really comical penguin on my arm.
And did I mention how many songs use the word ain't? It's ridiculous. I mean, if Gwen Stefani, Lizzo, Alicia Keys, J-Lo, if they can all use ain't, I think you can use ain't as well. Now, should you use it when you go for tea with the Queen? Maybe not. But in many other everyday social situations, it is perfectly fine to use ain't. And if you want to use it, go ahead and use it. It's up to you. It's your English. Don't let anyone tell you whether to say it or not. And that's the reality of language, is that people attach their own prejudices and their own biases to language. And often people are very loud about what you should and shouldn't say. People can be very prescriptive. And I suggest that we pay less attention to those voices. I think we should think about the context in which we use our English. We should embrace the diversity of the language, that we should be open to change, and that we should be open to new ways of looking at the wider world around us. Maybe ain't so bad. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I'm sure you have thoughts on this issue. Please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, this is Tom, the Chief Dreamer, saying goodbye.